This video goes into detail about why you'll see movements like this and this in my programs. All sources in this video can be found in the description. Source 1, quote 1, ECM plays a very important role in the maintenance of physiological function of satellite cells and the development of skeletal muscle. To put that simply, the glue that connects your muscles maintains muscle development and stem cell function. Quote 2, the absence of satellite cells in skeletal muscle will lead to excessive accumulation of ECM and an increase of muscle fibrosis. Satellite cells adapt to tension. Satellite cells also create muscle, so having less tension and more inactivity will place more glue in an area of the body instead of muscle. Quote number 3, the integrity of the neuromuscular junction and the transduction of synaptic signals are the keys to the motor function of skeletal muscle, while the abnormal deposition of ECM protein will lead to the disorder of the connection between motor neurons and muscle fibers. So putting that simply, healthy glue means a healthy nerve, which leads to a healthy muscle connection, which means more of an ability to contract the muscle. On the flip side, gunked up glue leads to a disordered nerve to muscle connection and less of an ability to contract the muscle. Quote number 4, if the connection between ECM and muscle cells is insufficient, muscle fibers will lack mechanical support and the force transmission pathway in which ECM is involved will be damaged, resulting in the deformation of muscle fibers beyond the physiological limit. So insufficient connection leads to insufficient support, which means a greater likelihood of muscle damage. Quote number 5, studies showed that the fiber network of ECM can be normalized and densified in the direction of force through stress-induced tension, which is conducive to muscle fiber contraction and cell migration. This is literature evidence that shows that you can normalize disordered connection from the glue to the muscle. Source number 2 can also be found in the description. Source 2, quote 1, upon muscle trauma or in response to increased loading, the usually mostly quiescent satellite cells become activated and differentiate into myoblasts to finally fuse to mature myofibers. Without loading, satellite cells, the builders of skeletal muscle, fall asleep. With an increase in load, they activate and perform their job well. I'm going to paraphrase quote 2. Age-associated muscle fibrosis is characterized by the loss of two-directional orientation and its replacement with an erratic network featuring decreased crimp formation. Also, there's an absolute collagen content that is increased because of this. The elastic modulus actually increases 35 times fold from when it was previously in a healthy state. This is driven by an accumulation of densely packed cross-linked collagen. As we age and as we lack movement, our glue becomes stiffer. The glue in our body is supposed to allow for free sliding movement with our muscles and tendons, but as we age, as with everything in our body, this function diminishes. This quote states that it diminishes up to 35 times the amount by becoming tighter and tighter, reducing the ability of the muscles to glide. This next study goes into what we can do to open up these areas. Study number 3, quote number 1. There's evidence that the nature of the intervention, muscle-directed or nerve-directed, determined whether the mechanical changes occurred at the nerve, muscle, or joint elements. You can target more of the nerve, the muscle, or joint elements, which refer to the tendons or ligaments or the joint capsule, by the specific type of exercises that you do. At some level, these are all being targeted in a gradient fashion with all movement, but we can orient exercises in a specific way to target the restrictions that we're dealing with. The final quote, number 2, goes into applying these principles practically. The fascial system and the main peripheral nerves in the lower limb have similar biomechanical behavior when under load. They act mechanically as a continuum spanning joints of axial and appendicular human body segments. Putting that simply, the glue and the nerves are one and the same in regards to biasing them versus muscle. If you follow the nerves, you follow the glue.